Yeah, so I don't want to slow now. So yeah, day before yesterday we talked about what's the SQL and what's the relational database and why we are using the SQL. If I Yeah, we have talked about what is SQL and what's the use of that and why we are using RDBMS. So basically, the SQL is used to it's a query language used to retrieve the data from the database. So uh, we are using the MySQL in our session. We have many other platforms available for this, but we are using MySQL. Just a pattern differences for other than MySQL if you're using Postgres or Microsoft SQL. Okay, so you can uh, in this sessions what I'm gonna make you learn is like you can be, I will teach you to how to set up the database locally using the MySQL server, and I can make you learn creating up, modifying, and deleting the databases and deleting the database tables and SQL data types and constraints and CRUD operations, which I can say create, read, update, and delete. And exporting and importing the data from the relation databases. You can do the joins. So all this we're going to discuss in coming sessions and today's session. So this is what I can say. So let's go practically today, because on Monday we went Tuesday we went mostly theoretical, a little practical. So I would say every one of you please try to install the MySQL workbench. That would really help you. Either it's Git or AWS or SQL, whatever it is. If you are just listening, you won't learn because in IT software, everything is like coding or scripting. It is. So even if you miss semicolon, you should, even if you miss the commas, even if you are not taking care of case sensitives, you will still be facing issues while doing your tasks. So doing the task or doing the these things practical will help you remember it a lot. So once you do it practical multiple times, it gets stuck in your mind, so you can naturally do it. It's not like just for learning. If you see, even if you see 10 times the same video from me or either from YouTube, you will still won't remember that. Okay, so I hope you guys understand. So there are many other platforms like I said, you can install MySQL Workbench from here. MySQL Workbench. I'm just showing this is because if Tuesday any one of you miss, you guys can again see from here. So this is MySQL Workbench. You can just go here, just go download for Mac. Like I said, for M2 chip, M1 chip guys, you can do ARM download. For Intel chip guys, you can use x86, and for Windows guys, it would be mostly x86 64-bit installer. You can do this, and you can install Microsoft SQL, MySQL Server also. MySQL. Yeah, previous one is the one which you can use. And coming to the UI, if you see, this is the user interface that I'm using. Git user for Git also, you have the user interface. For AWS also, you have user interface. Likewise, for MySQL also, you have user interface from which you can directly run from here. Like I said, you will be able to see this. Yeah, once you install that, you will be able to see the screen for logging into the your local MySQL server. I have set up my password. That's why it's asking me forward. If you don't password, if you haven't set up the password, it won't ask for you. Okay. So yeah, this is basically the user interface. From the command line terminal also, you can use the same commands. I mean, you can do the same tasks. For example, if you see here. I already ran this, so you guys may not be able to see it. Let me zoom this. Yeah. So I see PWD. I have MySQL in local location. That's why I was able to see MySQL here. Um, for me, it is there here, right? So cd user local. I try to come here and list here. I have my SQL listed here, so I can uh, use a command to give the root permissions to execute my SQL commands from terminal also. It's not like I can only run using I can only run my commands using MySQL Workbench. You can use it from the terminal also, so that you will learn commands at ground level. Like I can say that's the best practice. Okay. So yeah, I already ran this command, so I'm just showing you this command. So I'm giving this access in user local MySQL in bin. If you go to MySQL, basically in bin MySQL you can find I mean in MySQL you can find bin and MySQL also. I'm giving user the root permissions and it is asking dash p with password. If you haven't set up the password in MySQL Workbench, you don't have to give dash p here. So here it's the password that is asking is MySQL Workbench password which I have set up. That's root user, not my system lab password. It's MySQL Workbench password. See from here also show databases. See this is the same databases that it is showing me here. If I come here, even if I give show databases, it will show me. So the same thing you can execute from here also. Okay. Show databases you can do same from here. If you exit, you can just simply give exit. It will say bye and it will go back. So these are the two methods. Either you can use it from the terminal or you can use it from the um, what I can say user interface tool that is like MySQL Workbench also. So let's go deeply practically into this instead of all things we are talking about setup, so that we can quickly move on to the next steps. So on Tuesday, I have discussed to I have tried to discuss topics like okay. Okay. So yeah, it's giving me difficulty. So on Tuesday, I have discussed two topics like databases. Like I said, the first priority is database. So what is the database? Inside database, you can store. See, here it is. This is a database that is Salam data. Here is a database that I have created on Tuesday to the to show tutorial. What are inside the databases? You have tables, you have views, you have functions, you have indexes, you have multiple things. So all the data that we are collecting, that's called a database, a base where you can find all your data, all type of data, schemas, or anything. So that's called a database. So for you, everyone, you have to create a database. If you are creating a database for the college, that means you are keeping entire data related to the college. If you are creating a database like university, you are keeping entire data related to the university in that database. So I have this many databases available. Okay. So if I want to use the database SQL tutorial, see, because I have to use the SQL tutorial for this, just give SQL tutorial. See, it become bold because that switched from the here to here. So let's say, see, if I have to modify a table in SQL tutorial, but I am previously I have given use salam underscore data. I was working here, and I have created a table which I have to create in SQL tutorial. It automatically gets into the salam data only because I am using this. Don't forget to switch from the databases when you are doing like exercises or practical things. So always important thing is make sure if you're on the same database that you wanted to work on. So this is how database items work. So like I told you, working with the databases. So this is working with the database. Just remember, show databases, use databases, and I have told you like how to create the database also. If you see here, I'm just telling again the database concept to refresh the concept so that guys who missed on Tuesday um, can learn from here. Create database, what I can give. SQL. I don't know why it's showing red. Okay, maybe. Let's see.
You don't need the hyphens to create that.
Sorry.
Try without using the
Yeah,
hyphens.
even with using we can give, I believe. So, but yeah, let's see. I now I believe it won't throw any error for sure. Maybe it's taking a default terminology. I think so. See. Oh, maybe I'm using this right. SQL tutorial. Okay, I'm using SQL tutorial. Then okay, okay. I'm sorry. So I'm basically using this. I can create another database also. Create data, create database. SQL tutor. Yeah, you have created another database, SQL tutor. So, but still we are using SQL tutorial only because we have created it, but still we are not using it. That's why you can see this is only highlighted, not this one. So this is how you can do. And for deleting a database, I have like I said, you have to use the command drop database table, and the database name will drop it, like it will delete it permanently. Yeah, I will leave it deleted. Yeah, you can't see it. It deletes the drop database. You can't retrieve any data of it. So always try to make sure you are not dropping without any proper reason or without any like unwantedly you're not deleting it because you can't retrieve it back. Because if you're deleting a database, that means you're deleting the entire items inside that, like tables and functions and whatever related to that database. So that is what you are doing it. So for example, let's see, if you wanted to create a database SQL tutorial, other guy don't know SQL tutorial database already exists. So you can give the command when creating a database, which we given previously, we given create database SQL tutor. For example, let's say SQL tutor is already there, that will basically throw an error. So we can just give a command, or it's like best practice to give create database if not exist SQL tutor. So that will basically create the database which is not, if it's not in use. If it's in use, it will give you a warning, hey, already that database exists. Okay. So yeah, let's move into the table concepts. Tables. Like I said you, reform is irritating. See, like I said you, the table contains fields which can be called as columns also, and rows which can be called as records also. Because if you can see any table, if you see any register, you will be having a column names, register name, I mean student name, ID, roll number, everything will be there. That's called as fields. And you will insert rows. So these are fixed basically once the table is created. You can modify these also, but yeah, usually we will try to modify or add or remove the records. We will add the student, we will remove the student, we will modify the student phone number. This can be done. So we can say these are rows and records, and these are fields and columns. So this is table. That's quite simple example. How we can create a table in real time. How we can add and delete rows in real time. There are concepts like primary key and foreign key. These concepts are there in SQL, which I'm going to discuss now. Let's go into the MySQL workbench. So I believe we are already using SQL tutorial, right? So to create a table, We use the command create table and we should give table name. What table name we want to give? Um, let's see, table one. We want to create a table name table one. We have to give. I'm talking about working with what I can say, creating the fields. First, let's create the fields. That means I'm talking about this. Let's create only these fields. Only these fields or columns. Then we will talk about adding rows and records. Okay, let's do this. I came here. If you wanted to create a table, you have fields, right? Like ID, roll number, whatever it is. So you will be having all these items. So let's take an office example. We want to create a office table. In office, what can all be the items that will be existing there? Maybe ID. Okay. ID of the employer. Sorry. And we have to mention what type of character it is. ID is what? It's a number that can be a you may be having like see for my college ID I'm having a SXA3588 that contains characters and along with the numbers. In that case, like I said yesterday, if you're having a combination of numbers and strings, you can use varchar.
Environment की push చేసిరనుకో ఆ changes అవ్వవు.
And
Okay.
ID basically will not be more than 10 or 15, right? So I'm saying maximum
సరే.
for the ID, my maximum length for the ID is 10 digits. And I don't want this to be null, not null. That means I'm telling to them, hey, ID using a variable and characters that can be maximum of 10 length and it should not be null. That means ID cannot be null. For every employer there would be an ID. That means what I'm trying to say was if someone is entering a data without ID, that will not accept it. That will throw a warning. So that's how we are conveying them. ID is definitely a mandatory component there. Okay. And let's consider city. We need a city column. We need where employees living. You can again give varchar. I can give up to 50 digits. I mean, up to 50 space because some city's name can be big, more than 10 letters. That's why. And maybe if it's mandatory, I can keep it as not null. Even I don't want this to be null. Okay. You can separate this by comma. Try to observe. I'm trying to create a row, fields, create table name, and I want ID, city. See, just imagine, don't get confused. This is ID, this is city, and if I want two more, let's see. I'm gonna do it. Let's consider mm, state, maybe in which state I'm living, and that's varchar 50. That means, see, I'm not giving, I haven't given not null here. That means I'm not making it mandate to be having it that value. That means here, if we have, if you don't have state value also, that will still take it because we are not telling it, hey, that should not be null. We should need it mandatory. We are not telling it. So for this state, that can be a not null. If we felt like okay for state, even if it's not null, that's okay. Let's do this. Mm, 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 mm. I hope it won't get any error. Okay. Don't know. I believe maybe it's talking about syntax. It's still showing the yellow line. Let's do office. It's definitely a syntax error. Create office code where not null. And then city that's not null. Just a minute. The call. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. So to create a table, creating a table. Don't think this is an error. Let me go back. Let me go back. Let me go back here. And I don't find any errors here. Not null. See varchar 50 not null. That can also be separated with commas only. And state varchar.
Bro, remove quotation marks, bro. Then it will work.
In the office also you're saying.
No, in the fields.
Feels like we can give quotation. Wait, oh, okay. I give, wait, we can give quotation there. That's not an issue. But still, let me try like you said. You feel this is okay?
You can remove quotation for office as well.
Mhm. But basically, we can give it. That's not a issue there. See, because I already have my code here. Let me show you. If I come here, if I go from the databases to here, I already did this practical also. Hmm, let's assume I'm taking this table. See, this is insertion of rows that I can say here. can do this one. This is insertion of records basically. That's not, that shouldn't be done. Okay. This table can be created as follows. Dot the table. See, that's how we give. So basically, that's not an error. Create table offices, ID, character, not null, state. Let me done this. It is showing something. Okay. I'm sorry. So basically, this is throwing the error. I was not able to see this error previously. So that's not actually syntax. Before I was trying to say, right, I have ran this practically. So we already have this offices table previously, which I have created. If you see, I have already ran this command, which I'm showing here, the Visual Studio Code. So this command I already ran here. That's why my table content is already there. So that's not error about offices. So if I try to modify this, what I can say business, it says the table got created. So to show the sample, I'm running the business because for the offices, it's continuously showing the error because already office table is there. I forgot that because I was thinking have created the table in the other database. So here the syntax is not an error. So even here I can use that quotations. That's not a big deal. So quotation is not a problem here. But my error was that already the table office was already existing there. So that's why we got an error. So yeah, this is how we create a table. So when we create a table, we will give the table name and fields name and varchar, which type of variable character we need. Variable and character we are using it like that means we are mentioning it. Hey, my ID will be consisting strings and numbers also. That can be up to 10 length and it is not null and the city. And yeah, this is how we are trying to retrieve it. Okay. So we have this table. We have this table now. So we have our table ready. What can we do next? So we can add our items, I mean our records into this. Like you can add student records, ID records, uh you can add student ID, roll number, all these things you can do there. Okay. So let's do that practically now. So what I can do is before I do that, I can run this command. Select from business. So what I can try to do is in offices. What I can say offices. See, select all from offices. I can give basically this retrieves the data. Like I said, SQL is a retrieving, I mean, it's a query language data that retrieves the data, whatever we need from here. So we still don't have any records here. In office tables, when I'm trying to create it, if I go the code to the code here, see in a table, I'm giving I have a column called office code, city, phone, address line to state, country, postal code, territory, and I have primary key. That is office code. I will discuss more about the primary key after this. So we have this columns ready. But if you want to retrieve anything from the data, now we don't have any records here. Down you can't see any records here. But if you want to retrieve any data from here, from the records or from any table, you can give select star from the offices. Star in the sense anything or everything, sorry, anything not everything from the offices. That means we are saying from the office table, show me everything. This is what we have everything in the office table. If you have specifically, if you want to display only city, you will give select city from offices that receives only city. For example, if you want to see, let's see, you don't want to see all the content. If you want to see only the content that it is in city column, you can just give select city from offices. Instead of you're getting all this data, you will get only the city data. And you can see your format. See, office code cannot be null, city cannot be null, phone number cannot be null. So whenever you are entering any records from the user, if you don't have office code or city for that office employer, that will not accept that value, because it is saying, hey, that cannot be null. But now it is null, we don't have any values. That's another thing. So not null also basically useful for that. There is something called default. For example, in your employers, everyone is working with United States and they are citizens of USA only. You can give default values only, default values also. Like when I'm writing a code here, when I'm creating a code, I can say country varchar, instead of not default, not null, you can give default United States of America. That defaultly displays United States because that's a default value. That's not gonna change for another employee. He's from another country. For this guy, this is from another country. That's not gonna change because they are all from the same country. Okay. So there is something called primary key in our table office code. If you here, this is primary key. So if you go and say what is the primary key, I can say primary key is unique key, like I said yesterday, that identifies each record in the table. For example, a primary key will be unique. For example, see, primary key is office code here. So office code, like for every employee ID, that is uniquely identified. You cannot see duplicates of it. That's unique for every and each record in the table. Okay. So basically that, see, that says primary key must be contain unique values that can't be repeated, which can, and that cannot be null values. For any employer in a company, he will be having a ID, right? So he's not even an employee if you don't have any ID. So that's how primary key works. So whenever you are giving something called primary key to a column, that cannot be null and the value should be unique. Okay. And see, and any table can only have one primary key constant. Like you can't give assign multiple primary keys. Okay. And that can be what I can say. You can assign it to multiple fields. See, if you can if you are making this primary key, you can make another field also primary key. So let's discuss this practically, entering into the next topics. Let's enter the matter into that table. We have created rows, or we have created columns. We have already created a columns here. Let's enter the data there. How can we enter the data there? Let me copy paste this and explain you how this code works. If you come here, we are saying it, insert into offices table. We have a office table, right? Insert into offices table. We already have this fields. Try to understand this clearly. We already have these fields: office code, city, phone, address line to state, country, postal code. We already have this. For this, we don't have values here. So we are saying enter the values for these in this format, for separated by commas. For example, let me remove this and show you the example. So let me run this. Okay, we have run this. So what is happening here? So like I have just cut the code to make you easily understand. We are saying office code, enter its value as 1, comma, how many columns we are here? We are having here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you understand, here also we have 9 items separated by commas. We are saying for office code, enter assign the value 1, comma, separated by city, San Francisco, comma, and then phone number, comma, and address line, that is 100 Market Street, and then address line 2, and then country and postal code and territory. So what it does, for office code it enters 1, for city it enters San Francisco. So we are assigning or entering the values inside a table using the this format, this syntax: insert into the office table, into this columns, enter these values respectively. Respectively, try to understand what does it mean by respectively. Respectively, enter this each value to these columns. That is how you're gonna do this. Let me add remaining code also now. If I go here, sorry, it is already there. I'm again doing mistake here. See, that is what I'm again doing the mistake. Previously, to show you, I have inserted a row, first row, right? I am trying to run it again. That's why it is showing the error. That's why I am trying to add another rows also now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 office code. Now I have 1 to 7 office code. Let me run the previous statement which I said. Select from what from. Select everything. Show me everything from offices. See, previously we don't have the values. So office code is getting assigned to the office code, city getting assigned to the city, phone is getting to the assigned to the phone, address line is getting the assigned to the address line. And I wanted to show you some other thing here. That's why I'm just copy and pasting here. If you see here, some values are null. If you see record number 4 and state number, if you see record number 4 state, that is null because that is empty. We don't have any values there. That's why it is saying null. But if we have assigned when we are doing this, let me show it here. State, it is state, right? See, for state, we didn't say not null. If it is not null, address line 1, if it is not null, what it used to be happen? It used to throw an error because in address line 1, if you see here, we don't have any nulls. Every for until 7 records, we have every answer here. Like we have filled every row. For example, if address line 1 is not there, it would definitely throw error because when we are creating address line 1 column, we are mentioning it when creating a table. Hey, what we are saying? Address line 1, and it shouldn't be not null. I mean, it should be not null. What does it mean? Null means nothing. We are saying there should be no nothings there. There should be some value there in address line 1. That's why we have implemented everything perfectly. That's why it didn't run any error. But if we have given empty value address line 1, it will throw me an error. Let me do this practically. I come here. Let's try to give it code 7. Let me modify this 1 and let me change the number so that I won't get any error saying duplicate values. Which I'm saying office code, Samsung code, address, and so on. Oh, sorry. Let me remove this because we are not giving address line 1, but we said it should not be null. what will happen in that case? Let's do this practical. Suit number 301 MO. Okay, let's do this. Saying column count doesn't match. Okay, let me do this empty. Duplicate entry. See, that is why it is saying duplicate entry. Let me modify this one also. 90. Okay. What is the problem? क्या है? It is saying duplicate. Let me. Okay. I think I already have this 7 right here. So that's why it's showing me error. Let me do this. Yeah, we already have 7. That's why it is showing error. If I come and see here, I just modified it. Let's see that example again. Select star from source. If I come to it, address line 1, it is say it see 8 for 8, we haven't give address 1. Basically, it should throw an error. But previously, when if you try to observe, when we are not giving address line 1, it is throwing an error. A component was missing there. If you understand previously, when I'm trying to remove this address line 1, it is saying this rows and values component is not matching because we are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows, 8 columns, but we are giving only 7 values. That's not accepting it because we have to give something address line 1. If that is not matching, that will still throw an error. And when you are doing this, if you are trying to enter any duplicate data also, it will again give you the error because you can't enter the duplicate data into this rows when you're creating a what I can say entering the records into the table. So it's not like what I can say. So to enter any values into the rows, you have to just give the format like insert into table name and column separated by commas and then values and then give values comma by comma by comma. That is how you're gonna do here. Okay. So what I can say is for example, in this code, if you're having a oh, I'm getting a call. Hello. So when you are adding multiple columns, so for example, we have this record. For every column, you are matching every record. For every record, for example, you are having 9 columns. You are having 9 records adding up. Then you don't have to mention every time. Like I can say like you don't have to add this item every time. You can simply give like this. So you can remove this. What I can say. It's not mandatory like you have to mention every time columns in what column you are giving what. Because if you see, if you are entering every record for that column, you don't have to give column names again and again. if you're not giving any specific item there, so for example, let's see you are not giving what I can say, state. In that case, you can simply mention it. For example, insert into the offices, if you want to just give what I can say, if you want to just modify this, what I can say, if you want to just modify which one, office code, and then state, then only you can just give here. Okay, and here also in values you don't have to give everything, you have to just give which I can say, office code 1 comma this one. Only these two items you will give when you are inserting something into the offices, because here you are giving only two columns, mentioning only two columns. That means you can only assign two records for the two columns. So if you're specifically doing that, in that case only you have to mention columns every time. But if you are just entering every column value here, record here, you don't have to give mention those in brackets every time. You can simply use like this, insert into the offices along with the values, like this you can do. Okay. And next, what's the concept I can say? So let me just retrieve, play with the table that we have just created. Select star from the offices, it's giving me entire values, right? So if I want to just read the state, see, it will display me only the state. It will not display me every record there. If I want to display, if I want to see which columns are there again. If I wanted to say phone number instead also, you can just separate it by comma. I'm saying, hey, give me state and phone numbers from the office's records. It will give me both. So this is how you try to retrieve and get your data every time like you want. So it's like what I can say. Um, this is how you're gonna play with these tables. And this is very simple thing I'm saying, but you can do multiple complex queries, which I'm gonna discuss in coming sessions. So if, for example, if you want to retrieve only the California records, you can retrieve only the California records, like select California, select only state from which you can get only where state is California. You can only select the records where the phone number starting with plus 33. So you can get all the records specific to plus 33. I'm just talking about the columns now. You can get records also like you want. This is how you can play with SQL. So understanding SQL is important because you can retrieve any type of data that you wish for here. So for example, like I said, to drop the database, I mean delete a database, you are using the drop. Likewise only, you can drop tables also. Drop table business. It will completely delete the business table. If you see previously business table was there. Now entire things like business content will go off. So if you wanted to delete any table, you can use the command drop. Okay. If you want to drop any table, like you can use like this also, drop, if a drop table, if exists business, it will delete if the drop table is employees is already existing. For example, let's see, if you want to create a business table, we have multiple tables in company, you may have multiple tables. If you want to delete some business table there, sorry, if you want to create a business table there, if already business table is there, you can't run it, right? You can't create it. So what we'll say, we will say in that case, you don't know if business table is already there or not. We will say drop table if have this, if exist employees. You will just a best practice, so that it will not throw you any error when you are doing. So what we are doing, hey, drop table if exist employees business. That means we are saying, hey, drop this table. That means now we are clear, hey, now we don't have any business tables in our company. So we can simply create a table business in our items. Okay. So there are multiple concepts like you have foreign key primary concepts also here. So if I come here, See, this is how you create the table. So there is something called foreign key concept. So foreign key, if you see, we are creating another table now, employees. We're gonna create another table. I'm gonna continue this in tomorrow's session. If you are creating another table, employees, we are saying, hey, this column shouldn't be null, this is null, this is not null, this is not null. And we are giving primary key as employer number. So then we are assigning an employer number as a primary key. That's the unique identifier column for this. And we are saying foreign key reports to. Reports to is a column name here, and we are saying this refers to employee number. So we are connecting this reports to the employee number, because in your office, let's assume my name is Abdul. My reporting manager name may be Ram. So I have some connection with Ram. He is my manager. Somehow I am related to him. What you will say, like Salam is like Abdul is directly reporting to the Ram. Somewhere we may get a need to link up. If you are trying to retrieve the records of the Ram, you may need the what I can say details about Ram, little brief also. Maybe if you want to, in Ram table, maybe he's having a table in which there is mentioning assignees, like he was assigned to some of the employers. In the inside, my name is also there, and in my table also some information is there. My manager is Ram. So we both are linked. We can link this, or we can join this, we can attach the links between this. So you can see foreign key is a field or a connection of fields in one table. Like I said, these are all fields. Columns can also be called as fields. A foreign key is a field or connection of field in one table that refers to the primary key in another table. So here employee number is primary key. Foreign key will be linked to primary key in another table. You understood? In this key, in this table also, this is primary key. So I can link reports to references employee. See, foreign key. What I'm trying to do, trying to create a foreign key to the column reports, and that is referencing employee number in a employees table. So basically this is table. We are saying, hey, this reports to column references employees table, employee name. So we are linking here to here only. But coming to the second line, we are saying foreign key, office code. Here office code is there, referencing offices table, office code. This table is not this. This is employees table. We are attaching, see, here this column we are attaching to the office table, the previous table which we created here. This table which we already created. In this office, with this office code, we are linking that guy. So this is how you can link up. I can show this practically and what are the examples in the next session. So this is the key, that is a field or a collection of fields in one table that referencing the primary key in another table. If you see, office code references to office and office code, and this office code column is also the primary key in another table. So difference, we can't assign this foreign key. For example, if you want to make this reports to a foreign key, you can't assign this to email, because email is not a primary key. You can assign only to the employer number, because we are making employer number as a primary key. I don't know if I'm confusing you guys, but I'm trying to make you clear. Foreign key can only link to the primary key, that can be the same table or another table. That's if you have any relationships between them, you can still use that. If you felt like somewhere a relationship would be established, it should be established, we will try to assign the foreign key, and we will assign that column with the another column. We will try to refer that column with the another column. I can show you this practically in the tomorrow session. Yeah, a foreign key constant can also be established between a table and itself. And see, inside the table we can do, and we can do with another table also. Okay. So this is a short and brief discussion about the primary key and foreign key. Let's discuss more on this, like what's the real use of primary and foreign key in practically tomorrow. Thank you.